Welcome to a line 4 day. Here we are looking again, of course, at gate 24, the gate of rationalizing, the gate of returning. And the fourth line is called the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is a word that we usually associate with the second line. Gate 24 is not complete in its process. It's not a capsule where everything is set and finished and done. It's only the beginning of the individual mental awareness, and it is not really prepared yet to externalize its knowing. The fourth line, it's always looking for the other. This has come through every fourth line we've looked at. They need other people to help them to do whatever it is that they are doing or externalizing from the theme of their hexagram. They can develop and externalize their knowing through others. But this is an Ajna gate, and so they want to be sure of what it is that they're sending out there. It has to be clear. There is an anxiety in the individual mental process that they won't be understood, that they will be seen as being a freak for their irrational knowing. And so they isolate themselves. And they go over and over and over their inner knowing, returning to it again and again to fine-tune it and perfect it, making it ready to be externalized, giving it the best possible chance to be understood and accepted. The lifetime learning says transformation that can only take place in isolation. And the exaltation says the discipline and focus that assures renewal. The aloneness enriches the potential for rational thought. There is no question that individuality is deeply creative, and individuals are not here to be influenced. So this fourth line will, through isolation, they will prepare their knowledge, their knowing, so that when somebody comes to them, they will be ready. They will feel confident to share what they've got. This is, of all the head gates, the most anti-social line within the mental processes that you find within the head and ajna gates. Aloneness enriches the potential for rational thought, and aloneness encourages the potential of illusion or delusion, of course. Aloneness is a keynote here. There's a fourth line fixedness on being alone. The fourth line can get people fatigue very easily because of their networking, friendly, externalizing nature. Every now and then they need to pull back and close down. They may tell you what they know eventually, and they may listen to what you have to say about it. But for them to really be able to come to a rational point in their own process, they need to be left alone to work things out. The detriment says the tendency in isolation to live in a fantasy world. Aloneness encourages the potential of illusion or delusion. So the fourth line in the upper trigram, it needs the other to verify what's going on and to help them keep their feet on solid ground. These people can be amazing fantasy writers. They can have a very rich, fertile, delightful imagination, and they can be very unusual. And they can also be way, way out there and sometimes completely off the mark. Remember with genetic continuity that this aloneness applies to all fourth lines, regardless of which gate you have them in. So have a look at the fourth lines in your own chart and see if this resonates with your experience. I have a few fourth lines, as you may know by now, 11 fourth lines. I'm being alone, and I'm a 2-4, so I also have the hermit quality anyway. And I really feel this. I can go out and be very sociable, but being alone then afterwards is very sweet and very necessary in order to let my experience settle and to recover in a certain way as well, to bring myself back into balance. Although Bear would say I've never been in balance in my life. It might have a point. So the grounding is in gate 44, and line 4 here is called honesty. So this is the potential of the fourth line to externalize the gift of alertness in order to be able to manipulate the ego for the tribal benefit. Remember, it's not personal. It's manipulation for the benefit of the ego, because it's not coming out of the ego. It's not about being egoic. This is the splenic gate. It's that end of this channel that's pointing at the ego. So the manipulation is for the benefit of everybody, in the tribe at least. It's for the benefit of the ego. It's almost more management than manipulation. The ego likes to be flattered. It likes to be massaged a little bit and appreciated. Honesty can bring that element into the energy of this channel. The fourth line, beginning of the upper trigram, and we know it has a resonance to the first line. We know that it is already going to be a skilled people manager. And this theme has already matured a little bit by the time you get up to the fourth line. It knows how to use its management skills. Their style is considered to be straightforward. They're very direct. They refuse to engage in any hypocritical interaction. So you can see that the manipulation that is involved here, it's not what we would normally define as manipulation. It actually has a subtlety to it, but not an underhandedness. It's direct in its management. Say management instead of manipulation, maybe. So the grounding for the 24 can come through this honesty. They can withdraw into their own hermit space to finesse their knowing, because the 44 has their back. It can manage anyone who tries to interfere with them, but at the same time, it can call them out when their fantasy is taking them over to the dark side, maybe. So the moon has just an hour or so ago gone into gate 60. So we have gate 60 for the most of the day, and we did look at that yesterday. At 1949, the moon goes into gate 41, the gate of contraction. And this is where Pluto is currently. I think Pluto is still there. This root gate is the drive to fantasize about having new experiences. It's the root pressure of desire manifesting possibly as sexual fantasy or daydreaming, and the impulse to experience life and to interact with others through feelings. It's possible through this energy to recognize the value of each experience. And the final moon gate of the day is at 5:37 tomorrow morning, and it's the gate 19, the gate of wanting. So it's another root gate. It's in tribal circuitry this time, not the collective of the 41. It's a gate that is focused on the basic needs of the tribe. And those are material needs and emotional needs. So it's food, it's shelter, it's protection of territory, it's access to God. It can be a very sensitive gate, a very needy gate, which is not necessarily wrong. We can have word prejudice about all sorts of things. It's just a question of finding a balance between your neediness and that of the tribe or the larger community. So that's our weather today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. As always, go gently and look after your lovely self. And I will see you for line 5 tomorrow.